So I'm going to reject the notion that I'm a troll, and I'm going to explain to you why it's important what I'm doing, which is to call out the attacks because they will get larger and they will swallow everybody eventually. Let's take DaVinci as a model. DaVinci was born on tax day, April 15th, 1452. He was born to a notary named Piero DaVinci and an unmarried local peasant named Katrina Lippe. And this is about, I don't know, maybe 30 kilometers outside of Florence. And Leonardo was a bastard. He was born out of wedlock, as were a lot of the artists during the Renaissance. Alberti and, Gilberti and Filippo Lippi and Petrarch and many others. At any rate, here he is. He's enormously talented from the get-go, and he's pretty much autodidactic. And he was non-legitimate. He was illegitimate. And so he ends up being accepted into an art school, and he's still pretty much self-taught. He does this wonderful painting called Annunciation from 1472. And if you walk through the Ponte Vecchio in Florence and you go to the Uffizi Gallery, you'll see it in real life, and it's fabulous. At any rate, 4 years after he paints that painting, he's arrested by the night police. And what happened is anybody could slip an anonymous note through a little tiny crack in the bricks, and it would be given to the night police. And they came and they arrested him. I think he was, 1476, so he was 24. And, he could have faced death. So this developed in him a paranoia of authority, which is why he would use sfumato. He would basically use steganography in his paintings. And I personally believe that there's heresies behind every painting that Da Vinci did. But the point that I'm trying to make is that Denise Matto just talked about anonymous trolls, and they're not really human beings unless they have a name. And I'm going to disagree with her. I think that I don't think that Denise is dumb at all. I think she's pretty smart. But anonymous trolls can harm you. Whispers behind closed doors can harm you. And I take a different attitude, which is I will confront lies about me directly, and I will provide evidence. And, as far as mixing it up with the trailer trash, as she would call it, there's a larger picture. If I continue to provide evidence and I continue to keep it humble, I think people are going to take me seriously. I do like to win. I will say that. I love to win. I think that's definitely part of my nature. And just like Da Vinci, who, didn't have much success in his life, but was noted for his talent, he played long ball. That's what he was doing. And so Michelangelo used to tease him about not completing works. But the things that he did, he filled dozens of notebooks with his thoughts and his illustrations and his equations and his experiments and his anatomical observations. He actually dissected more cadavers than most doctors that you know. So just take a look at Vitruvian Man. This is something that was never meant to be public, but it's given birth to a whole school of anatomical art. And if you go ahead and you go to Venice and you go to the Gallery dell'Accademia, it's amazing what you can see. The Vitruvian Man I saw back in the early 2000s, and it's like something that strikes you as 3D. So I've also been to Milan, where I've seen the Last Supper, and this is before they started to restore it, because it wasn't painted with very good material. DaVinci was using a new technique at the time called secco, meaning dry in Italian. And the paint didn't bond very well to the wall. So the Last Supper is deteriorating, and was actually deteriorating during Da Vinci's lifetime. And of course, it had damage from a bomb, or at least part of it did. A World War II bomb destroyed most of the Santa Maria delle Grazie, including the cafeteria that surrounded that very wall. So going back to my point, not to be obtuse, but yes, anonymous trolls need to be called out. They need to be dragged into the light, and they need to be exposed for what they're doing. Because a lot of them will, saddle up to you and pretend to be friendly, and meanwhile they've got, devious agendas. So that's that. And look, the one thing that you can tell with certain people is when they refuse to admit that they're wrong. That's always a big red flag to me. I like humility. I think it's attractive. I think that if someone can say, hey, I fucked up, I think that shows them to be human too. Now, with a lot of these anonymous trolls, they never admit that they're wrong. They simply flip subjects. They're always right. Or if you catch them and you bust them straight out being wrong, they'll go ahead and say, ha, 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 and go on to the next campaign. So I watch people very closely. I don't have a lot of trust in many people, but the people that I do trust these days have turned out to be great. They turned out to be wonderful. I'm learning to have some judgment in my later years, but what the hell? I'm an artist. I'm a composer. And, as far as Denise, she makes some good points on the fact that there is an element that wants to crush and silence our artistic expressions. And that's a horrific thing, and every American should be concerned about that. So thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Bye.